I thought we were going to have plenty to talk about as of like 8 a.m. this morning. I thought, you know what? It's going to be a pretty full show. We got another great weekend of playoff football. We had a little bit of speculating to do, and then Sean McDermott out in Buffalo. Okay, we're going to have a ton to talk about today, because I think that reflects on the Chiefs in a pretty unique way that I'll talk about a little bit later on in today's show. And then we got the real news. I'll tell you what that is here in just a moment. This is Everything Else. I'm Joshua Brisco. It's all brought to you by KC Cannabis Company. Check them out online at kccannabis.com. We're live, of course, on the KCSN YouTube channel, as we are every Monday and Friday at noon. Then the show hits the podcast feed. You can get it wherever you get your podcast. Just search for Everything Else, or if you're really particular, Everything Else with Joshua Brisco. And of course, you'll find the show. We got multiple reports this morning of the biggest piece of breaking Chiefs news today. Multiple reports saying that the Chiefs are interviewing Eric Bieniemy for their offensive coordinator job. Now, as we talked about a little bit over these last several shows, the Chiefs were looking at January 19th as the in-season interview, the postseason interview, in-person interview cutoff line. That had been the day that we kind of circled and thought, you know what? Maybe we'll have real news by the time things come around on Monday. Well, here we are. The reports of the interview are one thing, but Dianna Russini went a bit further on socials today. She wrote, "The Kansas City Chiefs are requesting permission to interview Eric Bieniemy, and the expectation is he will be returning as the OC for the Chiefs. Kansas City is expecting Matt Nagy to land a head coaching job, so the wheels have been in motion on Bieniemy for a few weeks." So it's not definitive. It's certainly not official. And in fact, no one other than Dianna Russini has, at least that I've seen, has reported that it is all but a done deal, which seems to be the picture that Russini's painting. To be clear, I am the furthest thing from surprised regarding this report. I think Eric Bieniemy had been the frontrunner for a while. It seemed like Mike Kafka would be kind of the more interesting, more unknown reuniting of an offensive mind who had been a part of the staff. And Cliff Kingsbury's availability threw a little bit of a monkey wrench into the thing where you go, oh, well, you know, maybe Patrick Mahomes really puts his foot down and says, I would like Cliff Kingsbury on this offense, and that would be the thing to bring in an outside hire. Now, we've talked about Nathan Scheelhaus to Mike McDaniel to a number of names that never had any direct connections, and throughout that entire process, Eric Bieniemy was in the position to be the betting favorite. It makes the most sense from what we knew coming into today. Now, again, the thing here is that we have one report that it's the wheels in motion, okay? Maybe there's a chance the Chiefs have 5 more interviews over the next several days, and by the time Friday comes around, maybe it's a totally different picture. But being live with you here at noon on Monday, I'm going to take Russini's report as authentic, that this is the direction the Chiefs are going, and it makes sense. I'm not hesitating. I'm not pump faking on this too much, because this is the conclusion that I had expected, I think, to this point. So here's where I stand. If in fact this is the hire, if in fact Eric Bieniemy, former Chiefs offensive coordinator, is the next offensive coordinator of the Kansas City Chiefs, if it is Bieniemy, here's what I got for you. It's fine. But it's not a big deal. And I don't mean that it's not a big deal who the Chiefs offensive coordinator is. I mean, the move itself can't really be a needle mover. And if this is the direction the Chiefs go in, I think they're telling you they didn't need a needle mover. It's fine, but it would just be Andy Reid changing sidekicks. It's not a collection or a conglomerate of top minds from diverse offensive backgrounds. It's not a reboot of where the Chiefs' offense is going. It's not even a new casting. It's just a new Robin. And to be honest, to keep the superhero cinematic universe metaphor going, it feels a little bit like what the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going through right now. I've not been as deeply involved as in the comic cinematic universes as I once was, which I think is kind of the point. Depending on how plugged in you are, you may or may not know what's going on in the MCU right now with Avengers Doomsday. Now the new upcoming movie that comes out in like a year, probably a Christmas release, I would guess, right? That's starting to get the trickle of hype as Marvel points you in this direction to say, hey, guess what's around the corner here? The Marvel Cinematic Universe had the entire Avengers arc. Endgame is the end game, right? You build up all of these storylines, you bring these characters together, and you put a beautiful bow on it. Here's the larger story. But if you're Marvel, you got to keep making money. You got to keep people hooked. You can't just let it be an easy out after you finish one big satisfying story. Disney paid a lot of money for Marvel. They want to keep that thing churning. So they go, well, we kind of thought the Eternals would just step in and we wouldn't miss a beat. We'd pick up a new audience. That didn't really work. Okay, what about the Thunderbolts? With the asterisk, they're the new Avengers. That didn't really keep the machine churning either. What about the Fantastic Four? You guys like the Fantastic Four? Is that going to get us back into the mainstream? Oh, for a little bit, but it kind of fizzled. All right, fine. You guys like Iron Man, right? You guys remember Iron Man? You remember Robert Downey Jr.? We love Robert Downey Jr. We love working with Robert Downey Jr. Here's what we're going to do. Let's bring him back as Dr. Doom. Okay. Does that excite you? How about this? How about Chris Evans is coming back too? Yeah, we, didn't get quite the pop there. Some fans saw through the Dr. Doom thing. Well, Chris Evans is coming back. You happy now? Yeah, we gave him the ending that he deserved, and we mapped out the future without him, but that didn't really work, so we're gonna get the band back together. RDJ, back. Chris Evans, back. Marvel, back. Right? We got the band back together. Why aren't you guys happy? It becomes a stretch somewhere in the analogy, I'm sure, but that's kind of the feeling right now. You've brought the band back together, the band that reached incredible heights, because the evolution, the next stage, the next phase didn't take the step that you wanted it to take. And that can work for the Chiefs. If that is what happens, if it is Eric Bieniemy, if it is recasting RDJ, if it's bringing back an old favorite, that can work if you are the Andy Reid. If you are Andy Reid slinging fastballs, if you're Andy Reid this offseason, we all agree the Chiefs offense needs an evolution. If Andy Reid can be the guy leading that evolution this offseason, if he's in the lab right now running film from before the invention of football, if he's running some rugby tape right now to try to find different ways of moving a ball, maybe you come out brand new and fresh next year and you say, hey, look, I didn't need Mike McDaniel. I needed me and an enforcer. And Eric Bieniemy. That can work. I have a hard time envisioning this as like a home run hire, a thing where everyone goes, "Oh yes, and again, maybe to me it's a little bit of the Robert Downey Jr. Dr. Doom thing, where that to me felt like a gimmick casting a little bit, right? He comes out at Comic-Con and he takes off the mask and it's Dr. Doom. Oh my God, it's Robert Downey Jr. I think if you were really excited by that, it's because you loved the Marvel movies and you loved RDJ and you loved the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. But it's not the most creative way to go. Maybe Marvel believes they have the story for Doomsday. They're going to create the cultural moment and it's all going to work out. And it might. But I think bringing back Eric Bieniemy is hitting a single. Maybe a double if you're drinking the Kool-Aid. You're not swinging for the fences. You're putting the ball on the ground and advancing the runners. That's what Bieniemy's return does here in a relatively ideal scenario, I think. You're moving the runners. And if you're the Kansas City Chiefs with Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes and Steve Spagnuolo, maybe you've got runners on second and third, and the ground ball through the gap is going to be plenty. But you're not swinging for the fences, certainly. I have a couple of pieces within this that leave me a little bit wanting. And I'll tell you at the front end, I mostly think it's fine. I'm not surprised. I don't think it's a huge whiff. I don't think it's a massive mistake. It's just not a home run swing. Couple of questions that I would ask. One, are the Chiefs interviewing anybody else? Two, did anybody else want to interview Eric Bieniemy? If the answer to both of those questions is no, it's not really an interview, it's an appointment, right? If this is Bieniemy's only OC interview, and this is the Chiefs' only OC interview, this meeting could have been an email. You could have just announced the interview with a welcome back coach graphic on socials, right? I would have liked for them to have a larger interview Rolodex, and maybe they will. Maybe it's Bieniemy first, talk to 5 more guys, and then, hey, then maybe there's a chance this changes, and you can look back on this commentary on Monday and go, oh, you know what? Hey, things are different. With the information we have right now, 1 interview request for the Chiefs, 1 interview request for Bieniemy. Not a lot of mystery in how that all comes together. And I saw a comment earlier about the illustrious Matt Verderam, and I was glad to see it because I finally, in this war of words that football show with Matt Verderam and Tucker Franklin has issued with not just me and not just this show, but the rest of the network altogether, I finally have a shot to fire back. Please don't tell Verderam I would lose in any type of fight with him. Physical, verbal, Twitter. Verderam is pretty high on bringing back Eric Bieniemy, which again, I think is fine. But I heard this listening to their show this morning. Verderam said that about Bieniemy, he's a better offensive coordinator than Matt Nagy. I don't even know what the argument would be that he's not. I would agree. I would be more optimistic about this offense with Eric Bieniemy than I would be with another year with Matt Nagy. But the Chiefs disagreed with us 3 years ago, right? 3 years ago? 3 years ago, either Matt Nagy was so hot that he had to get the OC promotion after 1 year back as a senior assistant and quarterbacks coach, or Eric Bieniemy had grown stale after 5 years as running backs coach and 5 years as offensive coordinator. Now, 3 years later, it's some coup to be able to land Eric Bieniemy. Their last external-internal hire was Matt Nagy. And optimistic Chiefs fans today talk about Matt Nagy like he's the devil. He's not. He wasn't a savior. Jackie makes the point in the chat, Nagy took Mitch Trubisky to the playoffs. I wouldn't be thrilled if I'm a Titans fan hiring Matt Nagy as my new head coach, but I also think there's a chance that Matt Nagy is a decent head coach the second time around. I think that's all very, very plausible. And I think Eric Bieniemy should have gotten a head coaching job off of his decade in Kansas City. I still believe that right now. But with what we do know, what has Eric Bieniemy brought to his previous stops, and what does he bring here, if it is the return to Kansas City? Again, I think this is Andy Reid betting on himself, which is understandable because he's literally Andy Reid. It's, hey, I don't need Mike McDaniel to come drive through here for a year, and I don't know that he would have been interested if he's not calling plays. We don't need to make the Cliff Kingsbury shakeup because we're going to be able to take all the ideas that Cliff would have brought. We also have access to that tape, and we're going to be able to do that anyway. If Andy Reid tells me that, I'm going to think, you know what? You're Andy Reid. I'm inclined to agree that you have the ability to do some of this on your own. That's legitimate for me. It really is. But it's also not the easiest path towards an evolution. At least I would imagine. I would imagine that if you thought a big evolution, a medium-sized evolution was what you really needed, it's probably easier to have somebody come in and shoulder some of that burden to bring in some of the new ideas. As Patrick Mahomes talked about, we played the clip last week. He talked about accountability a couple times, which is a very Eric Bieniemy word. And he talked about bringing in new ideas every single day, which is a tough thing to do for a guy that has been an Andy Reid lifer, essentially. Eric Bieniemy's tenure in Washington, very short-lived. UCLA, very short-lived. 1 year with Ben Johnson is great. Again, Matt Nagy spent years in Chicago, and it's not like he came back with manna from heaven. Eric Bieniemy being with Ben Johnson, his running backs coach for a year, not his offensive coordinator, his running backs coach for a year, doesn't instantly make him Ben Johnson. The other thing about this that's like a little bit weird to me is that if you want to really hammer in on the accountability side of things, whatever that means, man, that's a big word. That's a big catch-all word for a lot of the stuff that goes on in football, right? If you said, well, Eric Bieniemy getting in the faces of guys who make a mistake, or it be it practice in a game, whatever. What if the Chiefs were the exact same team they were in 2025, but they had no drops, no pop-up interceptions, and no penalties? Well, that team wins the Super Bowl. The problem is Eric Bieniemy isn't magical. He doesn't get to just cast a spell where mistakes don't happen. We've seen plenty of mistakes be a part of this team's DNA for years, and every team's DNA, to be fair. Like, everyone's penalized. Every quarterback misses a throw. Everybody drops a pass eventually. Except for, like, literally Larry Fitzgerald. Who even he, I think, had... Well, he had some crazy stat where I think he retired with more tackles than drops. Something like that. That was kind of bouncing around in my head. I think that's right. But again, like I see it in the chat here, you can't just subtract Travis Kelce having a ball go off his hands and then be caught by the defense. I don't think Eric Bieniemy on a Wednesday changes the course of the next several days of everyone's lives, and Travis Kelce's an extra 5% dialed in on Sunday, and that pass just goes straight into his bread basket touchdown. I really like Eric Bieniemy. I liked him the first time. I thought he should have been a head coach the first time. I was disappointed by how things went in Washington and at UCLA because that just felt like a real sputtering for his direction. He goes and he has a really nice season as a running backs coach in Chicago. I think Eric Bieniemy being an offensive coordinator is also like a reasonable thing. But it's just really hard for me to get away from the fact that I've been around now long enough to remember 3 years ago when everything that went wrong was Eric Bieniemy's fault. This isn't a criticism of the Chiefs as much as it's a criticism of Chiefs Twitter. I was here. You were here. When it works, it's Andy Reid's offense. When it fails, it's the offensive coordinator's offense. That happened to Matt Nagy. It happened to Eric Bieniemy. It's going to happen to Eric Bieniemy again. And at this point, for Bieniemy, I think this move makes total sense. You come back, and if Andy Reid has a big evolution in this offseason, you're going to look like the savior. If they just adjust to the mean on turnovers and mental mistakes, Eric Bieniemy saved the offense. If Bieniemy comes back and the offense doesn't evolve at all next year, I'm not pointing my finger at Eric Bieniemy. It's Andy Reid's offense. Again, that's how the whole thing's built. 51% of the vote and all of that. So I think if anything, I've got a little bit of fatigue around the offensive coordinator chat, just because it feels like we've got such an extraordinarily short memory. And again, I'll say now, if I get surprised and it's somebody from outside the organization and it's a real twist and it's a real bet on, hey, we're going to get a real outside voice in, some new ideas and shake this whole thing up, then take these last 20 minutes, archive them, and put them in for an alternate universe where Eric Bieniemy came back. I'm just not in any way surprised, not really disappointed, not really the word I would use either. I find myself frustrated by the paths that these conversations have taken. I also know, like, Andy Reid, quintessential players coach and all of that. The idea that, like, Andy Reid doesn't demand accountability from his players is a weirdly, like, now weirdly accepted wrong take. Andy Reid doesn't scream at the sidelines, on the sidelines, but you hear guys like Travis Kelce, who do bring that energy, talk about the years of stories of seeing Andy Reid's mustache twitch and that being the equivalent of getting mother bleeped on the sideline. Again, so like Ron says here in the chat, whoever they hire, it's safe to assume it's a pick 15 approves of, just like Matt Nagy. I don't think that can really be the standard. I would certainly hope Patrick Mahomes isn't going to find out about the next Chiefs OC by Twitter. But haven't we done this exact thing before? And maybe it works. Maybe Andy evolves. Maybe Bieniemy takes something from Ben Johnson. Maybe the energy for him and new position coaches, running back and wide receiver, that might all totally work. That, like, I really might. I am already excited to pick the Chiefs to finish ahead of the Broncos in the standings next year. That would be true if I was the offensive coordinator. It depends on Mahomes' recovery, I guess. Another thing from the chat here, Dan's, it's not the time for major shakeup with Mahomes coming off injury. What better time? It's going to be hard. Whatever they change in the offseason, whatever they install without Mahomes out there, it's going to be without Mahomes out there. That's true. But you don't get to pick and choose when your most ideal evolution comes. You just have to take those opportunities when they arrive. I understand the point there. I just don't think I can really agree with that, because otherwise it's what? So then it's at one year removed from today. Mahomes is healthy, ready to go, and then you demote Eric Bieniemy, you ship him off somewhere else again, and then you bring in a new play caller. Not even play caller, offensive coordinator. Andy Reid is the play caller, which is, again, something we had to litigate with Doug Peterson and Eric Bieniemy and Matt Nagy again and Eric Bieniemy again. I just feel like we've done a lot of this before. It's fine. But also, let's say, again, to the point of like the evolution, the time for change, what if Travis Kelce doesn't come back? You have to evolve. You don't get to opt out of a step of evolution. That's where I go, at least. It's Andy Reid's offense. Eric Bieniemy comes in and he's the enforcer, and Andy has a couple of big evolutions. The offense looks a little bit fresher next year, and you get some new pass catchers in the mix. Maybe all of this looks great. The process of where we've landed here today, it's a little bit interesting to me. It's very interesting to me, and maybe a little bit questionable, I suppose. I also just feel like I am going crazy because I just feel like I was shortly becoming on an island in terms of defending Eric Bieniemy 3 years ago, and now we're here today, and I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. I feel like I'm the same guy, and Bieniemy is the same guy, and everything around us has changed. Interesting. I digress. You know what? I guess what never changes. That's probably not true. In fact, I know it's not true. What does change? Because sometimes you get great deals. A lot of times you get new products, and you're always going to get the unchanging, excellent service from the bud tenders at KC Cannabis Company. Check them out online at kccannabis.com. They are crafted for Kansas City by Kansas City. They're locally owned and operated right here in this community with 5 KC area locations: KC North, Blue Springs, Kearney, Excelsior, and Lottawanna. Bud tenders are there for first-timers or seasoned veterans. As long as you're 21 and over, you can go into KC Cannabis and get excellent customer service. Ask them what they think about the Chiefs' offense, I guess. I'm sure they'd love to chat about it. And you can go ahead and, again, make sure that you're going to get the best product, the best deals, and the best service, all at KC Cannabis, kccannabis.com.
Looking for premium products in Kansas City? Whether you're new to the world of dispensaries or a seasoned enthusiast, we've got just what you're looking for. Proudly Kansas City owned and operated, with 5 convenient locations in Kearney, Blue Springs, Excelsior Springs, KC North, and Lake Lottawanna. And our knowledgeable team can help educate and guide you so you can feel confident in every choice you make. Come see for yourself what makes us the most trusted name in Kansas City.
I didn't even mention the top of the show. That's not Tucker Franklin, baby. That's the Spring Dog millionaire, Nick Springer. Nick, happy to have you here for an NFL Monday, my friend.
Yeah. Real quick, can I add something on the Eric Bieniemy stuff?
I'd love nothing more.
Okay. I was listening to you, and I was reading the chat also, obviously, with a lot of people sharing their opinions, which, thank you, continue to do that. Here's the thought that I had. To add on to your take that it's fine, right? I think it is fine. It would have been fine if the Chiefs would have made the playoffs and gone on to win the Super Bowl, and then Matt Nagy gets a head coaching job somewhere else.
Yeah.
The problem is that didn't happen. They were bad. They sucked. They missed the playoffs. And now I'm subjected to watching just horrible AFC teams have the most extreme mid-off of all time because they all suck. Okay? That is the problem. So it would have been okay if that would have happened, right? Like if the Chiefs had gone to win the Super Bowl and they were like, all right, let's bring back Eric Bieniemy. I think you would feel okay, right? You wouldn't be mad about this. But that's not what happened. What happened is you missed the playoffs, and when that happens, you hope to make a more broad change, right? Or infuse some new life into a team that has had the success that the Chiefs have had. Instead, you're just bringing back a guy that, was already here when you were good and now you're bad, and you hope that it makes you good again. But that's not what happened.
I think that's an excellent take, and Squiddles Fiddles agrees here with the comment. What a stupid take.
Yeah, all my takes are stupid, Squiddles. I got bad news for you, brother. All my takes are stupid.
I actually think that you're onto something, Nick, about how it feels, because this feels like a move to stay the course, right? Again, right. You win playoff games. Matt Nagy gets promoted out, which he still may. I'm going to come back to that. But if you say, yeah, no, we had a good offensive season and we're losing Matt Nagy to the Tennessee Titans because he had another nice year here, and we want to make sure that we just keep the vibes rolling, that we want familiar voices, and maybe it's a new running backs or receivers coach, but Eric Bieniemy, you come back in and you're the OC again, we steady this ship and keep it moving. I think we would all be totally fine with bringing back Eric Bieniemy. I think the way that the offense had its issues that we all saw this year makes you want a little bit of change. I don't think anybody, I shouldn't say anybody, I've been on Twitter. I don't think almost anyone, I don't think a lot of people at least are like, we need change, and that starts with firing Andy Reid and hiring, looks at the list of head coaching candidates right now, Sean McDermott. Like, that's obviously certainly not where I'm at. I'll speak for myself, certainly not where I'm at. But if
Harbaugh.
Right. If you have famous postseason success haver John Harbaugh to get over the hump that Andy Reid could never get over. He got over several times in the okay, never mind. But if the trajectory was pointing that way on the offense, bringing back a familiar face would be a nice warm embrace. With it being here's the Nagy wrinkle. Matt Nagy doesn't have a job right now. Not yet. Maybe the Chiefs are totally locked in that he's getting the Titans job. Maybe they know that from Mike Borgonzi. But the Bieniemy interview was reported what appeared to be the first day they could interview Eric Bieniemy. They are not waiting for Matt Nagy to get that final word on a head coaching job, and he wasn't Kevin Stefanski, where it was like, well, we know you, or Harbaugh, we know you're getting a job. You're going to get one of the first 2 jobs, in fact. Matt Nagy seems kind of like it might be Titans or nobody at this point. I don't know. Maybe the Cardinals. I haven't retained any Cardinals news.
Wait, the Cardinals exist? What?
I know. It's a tough thing to realize for everybody.
The NFC West only had 3 teams.
Yeah, they had 3 teams, and then like basically the Red Jets, which is sort of how the NFC West went around this year. But I really do think that's. I don't know that Matt Nagy would have gotten capital F fired if he had another year under his contract here, but his contract expires, he's on the market, and some of that early reporting was maybe the Titans, or maybe he just wants to go be the OC somewhere where he gets to call the plays. That to me feels like a kind breakup, an amicable breakup of no, they were great. It's nobody's fault. Sometimes you just meet at the wrong time in life, you know? That felt like the breakup with Matt Nagy. To break up with Matt Nagy that way and then to get back with a recent ex is a little bit of a weird energy because you didn't just have the most healthy relationship over your last couple of years.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, it's okay to hit a single or a double on a coaching hire if you go win the Super Bowl again.
Right.
But you didn't do that. Like, there is a desire for a little bit more change, a little bit more outside input into what has, yes, been stale. I've seen a lot of people in the chat throw around the word stale. Yes, it has been stale for the Chiefs over the past couple seasons. But if you went on a run again, then it's all fine. Hitting a single or a double would have been fine, right? Who cares? He's won the Super Bowl again 4 times in the last 7 years or whatever. Great. Eric Bieniemy come back. Sure, whatever, fine. But that didn't happen, obviously. And so that's where you kind of lose me with this, is like, you had a very clear and, quite frankly, easy runway to bring in an outside voice and potentially, you know, change up a little bit of what you're doing a little bit. And instead, you did not do that, right? Now, to what you were talking about earlier, it's also possible that Andy Reid could change. I mean,
he has many times.
You can't deny that Andy Reid has generally speaking, been able to evolve, or in some cases be ahead of the curve, right? That's why he's Andy Reid. That's why he's Andy Reid. So that's not entirely out of the realm of possibility, but I can understand why people would be a little bit tepid about that possibility because, you know, Andy Reid he's getting up there in age, right? So he could be turning into like an old man yells at cloud scenario where he's like, you know what? No, I'm doing it my way, you know? And so then that doesn't work either. So that's the issue. I mean, I would feel way better about Andy Reid, you know, making a change if he did bring in an outside voice, but I still won't rule that out as a possibility. Yeah. I just don't feel as good about it now bringing in Bieniemy. Like, I don't know. I guess, you know, you were talking about Bieniemy with Ben Johnson in Chicago this year, but like, I don't, without being like in the building, I genuinely don't know what Bieniemy brings to the table.
Right. That's
like new or fresh or different than whatever he was bringing to the table before.
I want to respond to this because I've seen a couple comments about it now. Comment, EB is our Josh McDaniels. No, he's not. You know why he's not? Andy Reid is the Chiefs' Josh McDaniels. And he's Bill Belichick. And he's Mike Vrabel. The reason that Josh McDaniels was the Patriots' Josh McDaniels is because Bill Belichick is a defensive genius. Mike Vrabel back, defensive guy. The orchestration of the Patriots offense, and obviously Belichick was involved with Brady, and he would be involved with the offense at times. But that comparison does not... Steve Spagnuolo is Josh McDaniels more than any offensive mind is. I think the way that the power is structured there is really important because you have all of the Patriots assistants over the years who left and fizzled, and like I don't want to talk about Matt Patricia any more than I have to, other than just think about him having a pencil behind his ear with a laminated play sheet. I'm just very curious about that, but that comparison doesn't hold water to me because the reason Josh McDaniels, I think, deserves the place in Patriots history that he has is because, again, he's He's the Steve Spagnuolo equivalent, much more so than he's an Eric Bieniemy equivalent. Because Eric Bieniemy was the running backs coach for 5 years here with Andy Reid as the top of the office. I think that's a misunderstanding of the food chain. It's I don't know, maybe it's a overly labored take, but Belichick was involved in the offense. The Josh McDaniels prodigal son thing, I think is not connecting enough dots for that to be an actually good comparison, for my money at least.
I've seen a lot of people mention this as well. Like, well, if that's what 15 wants, then it's good with me. It's like, right. Okay, fine, I guess, but like that shouldn't be just the end all be all.
And again, Matt Nagy cleared that test for him 3 years ago. He came back. Nagy was the quarterback's coach for 1 year. Then he became the OC. There's no way that happened under protest from Patrick Mahomes.
And then whatever happened to all the reports about, Mahomes and EB getting into it, right? Before he left.
Right.
And how they butted heads a bunch. Like what happened to that? Where did that go? Is that just all of a sudden not gone and now everything's hunky dory again? I don't know. Maybe, but that's it. It's a interesting thing to think about.
It's kind of bonkers. And I'm going to go ahead and probably close the comments for a little bit because, as I said earlier, I'm not been out of shape by the Chiefs hiring Eric Bieniemy. I am been out of shape by some of the leaps that have been made to completely erase the last 5 years.
Josh does not want to hear your opinion, but keep commenting. Keep commenting.
Nick will keep an eye on the comments. Let's take our second break so we have plenty of time to talk about the rest of the NFL here because there are some fascinating things this weekend and then fascinating things happening at the head coaching level. I want to give the Chiefs a unique amount of credit for shaking up the AFC in a year where they did not participate in the postseason. I'll explain that next.
Hey, what's happening, people? It is Benny Heiss, KCSN betting analyst. And while the Chiefs may not be in the playoffs, that doesn't mean there is not plenty of action to go around for the rest of you that are still crazy fans of the National Football League. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, it makes every playoff moment feel bigger. So whether you're looking at individual matchups in the wild card or for a possible Super Bowl matchup or for futures come postseason time, DraftKings has your back, and they also have your back with early exit protection. If the player in your eligible NFL prop goes down at any point in the first half, guess what? You can still get paid in cash. What an opportunity. What a way to be able to enjoy the playoffs and not worry about anybody that you include in those props going down, especially early on, and ruining the rest of all of your legs. So here's what you do. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the code KCSN, that is code KCSN, to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Remember, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. New York, call 8778-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Connecticut, call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino in Kansas, wager tax pass-through may apply in Illinois. You must be 21 plus in most states, void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
I'm excited to have Eric Bieniemy press conferences back in my life, and I'm still, I just can't believe where the goalposts are right now. It's really wild. Hey, Nick, speaking of the moving goalposts around the NFL, Sean McDermott gone. Brandon Beane promoted. Josh Allen, turnover machine.
The guy from Moneyball?
It's a different, I don't think there's a relation there. I think that's Billy. It's hard to say for sure. Can I please read you actually, have you seen the statement from the Bills that they put out earlier today?
Is the new GM? What?
Brad Pitt is the new general manager of the Buffalo Bills. Did you see the first word of the owner of the Buffalo Bills, the first sentence, in how they sent off Sean McDermott?
I did not actually. I was too busy dancing on McDermott's grave.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So the Buffalo Bills tweet this out at 9:30. The Buffalo Bills announced that Sean McDermott has been relieved of his duties as head coach. This is the opening quote from owner Terry Pagula. Quote, Sean has done an admirable job of leading our football team for the past 9 seasons. but I feel we are in need of a new structure within our leadership to give us as organization the best opportunity to take our team to the next level. We owe that to our players and to Bills Mafia. I did not misspeak.
Sean McDermott, the sea captain?
I did not misspeak. The opening words are that Sea Captain Sean McDermott. Whoa! And not Sean Payton either. And also, we got Sean's and Mike's in the championship games. It's crazy. Sean has done an admirable job of leading our football team. The word they were looking for there, because, sometimes we can all Seth Kaiser our words. The word they were looking for there was admirable, I think. Instead, this is why I don't believe in Colonel Punishment. There's got to be more of those. There's got to be a whole laundry list of those that we could just brutalize for a while. They fired him with a typo and a whiff on an idiom, but McDermott is out. Bean is president of football ops now, and I think there's a really interesting common thread here, Nick, that I'll pose to you. You can tell me what you think.
Okay.
McDermott out. John Harbaugh out. Now in New York. The head coach, Mike Tomlin, been there for a long time. I don't think it's entirely the same deal. But the teams who have Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, even after not as good of a season for Lamar and a disastrous season-ending performance from Josh Allen, I think both of those head coaches got fired because they couldn't do anything in the year that Patrick Mahomes wasn't in their way. For so many years, those were good teams with great quarterbacks. And you could say, you know what? We got all the way there. We got all the way to the Chiefs, and then the Chiefs thumped us. Or we were on a collision course with the Chiefs, and then something got in our way, and then the Chiefs went on anyway. If you missed your shot to get there without having to beat the Chiefs, and you didn't even get into the AFC Championship game, an AFC Championship game that's about to feature Jarrett Stidham. Not entirely fair because Bo Nix got hurt at the end of the game. But Broncos legend Jarrett Stidham, people call him the Josh McDaniels of the Broncos quarterback room. Broncos legend Jarrett Stidham is going to start in the AFC Championship game, and you had Josh Allen and couldn't get there, and you had Lamar Jackson, you couldn't get there. You had Joe Burrow, and actually Zach Taylor, you're fine. For some bleeping reason.
That may be the wildest coaching non-change of all time.
He's the worst coach in that division by a mile, and he's the only one who survived this offseason. It's baffling.
Hey, real quick, Lob Threat brings up a great point in the chat here about the bungling of the quote. Speech to text.
You think that's what they were doing? That might have been.
Hey, Bean called him. He was like, "Hey, I need a quote for this press release," and he's like, "You know what? Coach McDermott's done an admirable job of coaching our football team." That's what I assume the Buffalo Bills owner sounds like.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. That's a great idea. Let's blame it on autocorrect, and then I'll go ahead and just say right now, I will edit any organization's Twitter announcement for a very reasonable fee. If you just want to reach out to me, I will proofread it. I'm a good proofreader. I'm a good editor. I can make sure that it doesn't say one that I got in an email from somebody years ago that I still think about all the time was a person that you know who I'll tell you about later sent out an email and said we were just going to play this by year. Not sure what the plan is. We're going to play it by year. And I think, man, that's a long time to wing it.
It's good to have a long-term strategy, I guess.
Yeah, the long-term strategy is to just kind of let it fly for a year. I love a misdone idiom. Say it again.
My whole life.
Yeah. Play it by year. That's the way to do it. I think it's anyway. The AFC is so shook up now. I will also say I am not and have never been a Sean McDermott guy. That was not from BJ. It would have been very funny if it was. I probably would have just said it was BJ if it was BJ here. It's not that. If it was someone who would be funny to everybody, I would just say it. Anyway, the AFC gets totally shook up this way, and it's because it did feel like someone had to pay the price in Buffalo. This was not McDermott's fault. This was the least that it's probably ever been his fault. His defense is a bunch of like 32-year-old practice squad players forced into the line of duty. The defense kept giving Josh Allen more chances to turn the ball over and just continue that struggle bus. I was a little bit surprised to see him get fired today because I thought that the stuff that was his responsibility went well enough to save his job, and Josh Allen blew it. But I think if you have Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, you only have so many years to at least get to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow made it and lost. Other than that, it's been all Mahomes on the AFC side. It's crazy.
Josh Allen should be sending CJ Stroud flowers, chocolates, whatever gifts he wants for being so ass that everyone forgot about how ass Josh Allen is. And now they fired Sean McDermott. And it was Josh Allen's fault because he sucks. He's a bum. Your window is closed, buddy. Your window is closed. Lamar Jackson, your window is closed.
Bracing for a take quick.
Closed. We just had a Richter scale in Josh's house.
It was just a little bit
closed,
like an
buddy.
aftershock. Oh god, I'll tell you what. You know what? You know who would love the aftershocks? I bleep you not, the 12 squirrels that are currently occupying my backyard and surrounding area here. I think I saw like 10 of them earlier today. They're all just got a second feeder now, and I've refilled them all recently, and there is just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 squirrels right here. I could shoot 6 squirrels with a Nerf gun from my open window.
Whoa, we do not condone violence here. Good.
Nerf gun. I said Nerf gun. They're resilient. Don't shoot squirrels in your neighborhood.
When I was a kid, I loved squirrels. Like, we talked about autism a lot on this show. I was autistic about squirrels for like 2 or 3 years when I was a kid. Loved squirrels. Read a bunch of books about them. It was great. I loved them.
Come over, dude. What are you doing after the show? I have the day for you. You can just lay in the middle of my yard. I'll cover you in sunflower seeds and corn, and you're just gonna have.
We got
Sorry, I want to hear the rest of your squirrel story.
Huge squirrel fan. Loved squirrels when I was a kid. Did you know?
Did you ever get them to come eat out of your hand or anything?
Yeah. At the park. Yeah. But then I will say this: the squirrels at the park that I lived nearby, it kind of got a little creepy because like they would just follow you, and I was like, "Am I about to get like killed by squirrels?"
Stumped and killed by squirrels. Yes.
I'm a little worried. But they were friendly squirrels. But yeah, did you know, fun fact about squirrels, the largest squirrel, the marmot, it can be up to 22 pounds. And that's a squirrel.
I didn't know a marmot was a squirrel.
Yeah.
A marmot is a type of, they've got the longer skinny tail, right?
I watched a nature documentary about flying squirrels. Oh, it was incredible. Loved it.
Flying squirrels are very cool.
Shout out PBS. I love you, PBS. I'm sorry what's being done to you, PBS.
Hold on, PBS.
Hang in there. We're coming for you, PBS.
From cyber chase to marmots, we will not let you go without a fight.
Oh my god, dude, cyber chase. Sheesh. That was a good
cyber chase. Oh, hold on. We can change the graphic here. Find one of the nonsense ones. Doesn't.
Are we done with football talk now?
Yeah, let's go to addressing the allegations. Cyber chase. Cyber chase is probably 1-1 for me. I wanted to be on Zoom. Not in the way that we're all on Zoom now, but Zoom 64134. That's my zip code. What was the Zoom zip code? 001 something.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember.
I'm on it.
You're going too far back for me. No, dude, 1-1 is Arthur. What are you talking about?
That's Arthur's good. I wasn't. Listen, sometimes Arthur got a little bit too spicy for my household. They fought, they yelled. Sometimes they did a hit.
I don't know if Todd's right, but Todd is claiming in the chat it's 02134.
It's 02134. And they always said 02134. So yeah, I was close by I think I lost 3 digits. That's pretty good. I'll take it.
Yeah, everyone, we must protect public broadcasting, please.
Boston, Mass. 02134. Yeah.
But yeah, no, Arthur number 1 for me. Easy.
I'm googling.
Curious George, good comms from
Curious
in the chat. Curious George is up there.
Is very good. Here's the thing: there were a lot that I really enjoyed that I don't know, like getting the. I found this top 15 PBS shows ranked but it's like Masterpiece Theater, Frontline, PBS NewsHour. That's not what I'm looking for here. Reading Rainbow might be one.
You know, one that everyone always forgets about is Between the Lions. You're a real.
Oh, I loved Between the Lions.
Yeah, see, yeah, you're a real one if you remember Between the Lions. That actually Between the Lions might be sneakily up there in the top 3, maybe.
I agree, and I'm trying to. So here's the thing:
I didn't.
I'm looking
Clifford. Clifford kind of scared me, to be honest.
That's awesome. I don't think the Magic School Bus was a PBS show, right? Like, I feel like that was produced somewhere and then aired on PBS. Maybe I'm making that up.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
Mr. Rogers, is that all PBS? I don't know.
Yes, Mr. Rogers. Yes, definitely. Yeah,
purely PBS. Well, then he's Mount Rushmore, obviously.
Did anybody watch the Mr. Rogers movie with Tom Hanks? I think it was.
No, I saw the trailer. The trailer made me sad, but I didn't watch it.
Yeah, I didn't watch it either. I'm curious if anybody else watched it and thought it was good.
Zaboomafoo top 5. Zaboomafoo top 5, no argument. Sorry, what were you saying?
BL45 says, now the Arthur song is stuck in my head. Sorry about that. Odd Squad. This is more of a new age one. It was kind of creepy too because I was a little bit older, but Sid the Science Kid for anybody else, that one was kind of creepy too. It was more new age. What else was there? Between the Lines. Obviously, we haven't mentioned Sesame Street yet. Sesame Street's got to be up there.
Got to be up there. Ronson Trait says Kansas City Squirrel Network. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
Electric Company reboot. Yep, I did watch some of that. I feel like I was a kid and I didn't fully understand all of it though because I don't know.
You're not supposed to. It's not all for you.
Yeah.
Wow, did you ever watch Sagwa, the Chinese Siamese cat? I'm looking at that right now. I definitely watched a few seasons of that. How about Liberty's Kids?
Oh, I did watch some Liberty's Kids.
That only had 2 seasons.
Also, I don't remember the name of this show. There was like a nature show, but it was animated with these 2 guys, but I don't remember what it was called.
Was that Wild Kratts? That was Zaboomafoo's animated spinoff of the Krat Brothers. That would have been a nature show with 2 animated guys. That probably would have been Wild Kratts.
That probably is it, yeah. But yeah, no, my viewing lineup was get home from school at like 3:30, Cyber Chase straight into some Jeopardy with my goat Alex Trebek, get a little bit of knowledge going, and then that's what I did a lot. So
that's how your brain got so big. That was the secret. If you want your little one to grow up like Nick Springer, he just gave you the workout plan essentially.
Yeah. Now, if you want to grow up to play any sort of sports, then don't follow what I did because you're right.
Well, look, I mean, I know you don't want to say this too early on, but a ton of that's just going to be genetic. I mean,
Seamus says Daniel Tiger. Is that the show that I'm thinking of? I don't know.
No, that's newer, I think.
Good comms from Steven Word Girl. I
watched a little Word Girl. Yeah.
I was on some Word Girl. R.I.P. Alex Trebek. Yeah, I read his. If you haven't read his autobiography, I would highly recommend it. It's very good.
Interesting.
I believe it's called "The Answer Is." I think by Alex Trebek. It was very sad. I read it like probably a month before he died, and it was
wow.
Sad. It was sad. I also have a T-shirt with just a giant face of Alex Trebek on it. That's pretty awesome.
That is awesome. Mustache or no mustache?
I don't remember. I'm assuming.
Okay. Oh, Wishbone.
I don't think I ever watched Wishbone. Is that a
dog?
I don't know maybe I did.
Okay, here's my final thought. So I found a PBS Kids show tier
Nick
maker
Night, baby.
List.
Shout out Journey. Nick at EE Night.
I gotta say, I mean, I think this is almost unanimous. Nobody liked Caillou, right?
Caillou scared me too. Yeah.
I don't think anybody liked Caillou. This list has Reading Rainbow at C tier. We gotta re-educate the youth.
This may be kind of messed up, but I thought Caillou had like cancer or something because he was bald.
I don't think it's messed up. I think I also assumed that for a very long time.
When I was a kid, I was like, does this kid have cancer? Like, what is wrong with him? I don't know.
Yeah, no, it was confusing and never made. It was all subtext.
What about the Bunny Show? What the hell is the Bunny Show called? The show with the bunnies?
The Bunny Show?
Yeah. Chat, help me out here.
Bunny Show.
It was on PBS, I think, right?
Okay, I'm Googling PBS Bunny Show. We're going to figure out if this is anything.
There was the mom and the kid.
Oh, Max and Ruby?
Yes.
Yeah. I recognize this.
Max and Ruby. Yeah. Was that a
I'm not
PBS show or
sure.
no?
I
I remember watching it, but maybe it wasn't on
don't
PBS.
know, Jim.
Okay, sorry.
I don't know. Seamus
Seamus
says more
says
willing to
more
show
willing
my
to show
kids only weird games than Caillou. Yeah, we saw that one. Caillou was a demon, he says.
I mean, I think. Can we confirm if Caillou's still alive? He may have died from cancer. I don't know.
I don't think
say
we
that?
can do. I don't think so.
Can I say that? I don't know.
I bet you're not. I mean, you're certainly not alone on being confused as to why Caillou is bald, if that was a real choice or not. I don't really want to. Okay, Google AI, which I trust all the time, says Caillou's baldness is not due to cancer. You're good.
How did we get here, by the way?
He was created bald as a baby to maintain visual consistency when he grew older, a deliberate choice by the creators to keep him recognizable as he aged. The character was initially conceived as a 9-month-old baby, and the creators decided to keep him bald to avoid him looking unrecognizable as he got older, even though the name Caillou means pebble in French, a reference to speech practice.
What the hell?
A speech practice.
Riley says might have to play the rest of the show by ear. That's a good point. That's a good point. Ice Pyro says Wiki says Max and Ruby was Canadian. Okay.
Oh wow!
Another Canadian W in my opinion. Yeah. Anyways, Eric Bieniemy. How about that? Huh?
Well, look, we don't know if it's official or not, so we'll. Well, I saw that Seth has already written about it over in the newsletter, so we'll talk about Eric Bieniemy, Someone Only Weird Games tomorrow, I'm sure. And I think I want to make the entire Substack today just about ranking my top 5 PBS Kids shows, because that feels like the way to go. Nick, anything else? Any parting shots from you? We talked about the AFC. We talked about Eric Bieniemy. We talked about some divisional playoffs. I feel like we did what was on the tin today.
Yeah, the AFC is mega ass booty cheeks, as Tucker would say. It's awful. Everybody sucks, and that's what makes it even more frustrating that the Chiefs didn't make the playoffs, because this would be the easiest slam dunk Super Bowl of all time if they were in it. Because every quarterback in the AFC is the most unclutch, useless, worthless, bad QB. You know what? You're gonna hate this, Josh, and we're gonna end the show by me pissing you off a lot.
Oh no.
Bo Nix, kind of good? Question mark.
How dare you? Tucker would never. How dare you say that in Tucker's side of the screen?
Bo Nix, that boy, kind of nice, maybe.
Well,
but yeah,
I was gonna.
Anyways, whoever gets out of the AFC is gonna lose by 50 to the NFC. That's a fact. Yeah, I don't know. It sucks that the Chiefs weren't in it because easy W. But I don't know. I'm still listen. That being said, I still enjoyed watching the football. Like
great football.
The games were good. I still enjoyed watching. I was happy to just kick my feet up in my recliner and not move for like 6 hours on Sunday, yesterday specifically, because many people probably do know, I would say at this point, but Josh and I work with the Chiefs. And so if the Chiefs are playing, we're working. So when the Chiefs are ass and aren't playing, we're not working, and it's great. We can just enjoy the football. I am maybe becoming a believer. We'll circle back to this at the start of the 2026 season, but I might be a believer, guys. I still like the Broncos though. And listen, this is so funny. The other thought I had is, think about this. What were we talking about last week leading up to that Bills-Broncos game? Hoping for a natural disaster, hoping for a meteor. We basically got it. The Bills lost, and the Broncos basically lost too. So we got what we wanted for. We got what we wished for. How about that?
I wanted the Bills to beat the Broncos in whatever form or fashion it took. I was there. I understand not everybody was. I would rather root for my own foot to fall off than to root for the Broncos.
The Bills losing is way more glorious because now everybody hopefully will recognize that Josh Allen is a bum. He sucks. He stinks. Your window is closed, Josh Allen. You ain't winning nothing, boy. You're done. You're cooked. See you never.
Well, I was going to say, Nick, that you didn't.
It's DP season. Yeah, it's DP season, baby. Come on.
You've got to explain what that means.
Darren Peterson.
It's Darren Peterson who plays
basketball.
basketball for the Jayhawks. There wasn't nearly enough context for that until you
DP
provided more
season is not enough
context.
context for you? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I hate Josh Allen. Tell us how
I
you
was
really
gonna
feel.
say.
I'm telling you how I really feel right now. I'm telling you how I feel. How I feel is that Josh Allen sucks, and hopefully everyone will start to recognize that he actually sucks. He is a potato. For at least half a dozen plays a game, he is a potato. And it was proven again on Saturday, right? They played Saturday against the Broncos. Your window is closed, Josh Allen. No Super Bowl for you. You got to be quicker than that. No Super Bowl for you, boy. You're done. It's over. Good night. Sleep tight. See you never.
I was going to say that you did an admirable job today, Nick, but at this point, I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I can
This
give you
has
that
been
kind of
an
praise.
Admiral show with Captain Joshua Brisco and First Mate Nick.
You're the captain of your own take, Quake. Here, I don't. The commentary given by Nick Springer is not necessarily reflective of the opinions given by Joshua Brisco, everything else, Casey Sports Network, Tucker Franklin, Bo Nix, Josh Allen, Sean McDermott.
Do we need to have a disclaimer for this?
No, we have a different overlay for that, but I don't feel like you wanted that overlay. I don't think you needed like a safe place. I feel like you just needed to cut loose and tell people how you feel, and bless you for that.
You know who this is not a safe place for? Josh Allen, because he sucks.
We'll talk to you on
Lamar
Friday.
Jackson sucks too.
Bye, Mom.
Oh, you know who actually sucks the most is CJ Stroud.
He really might.
Yeah, you're done, CJ Stroud. It's over for you too, boy.
Say bye to your mom.
Bye, Mom.